It was my pleasure. All right, we are live here with Cornell University Forbes 30 Under 30 winner, the Maithra Raghu. Maithra, how are you today?
Yeah, doing well. I'm on the West Coast, so a little early, but
well, congratulations. Where are you in the West Coast right now?
In the SF Bay Area.
Okay, I'll let you know that most of the country is freezing and shivering, so they're huddled over their computers and they're watching and they're connecting with you, which is awesome. We're very excited to have you, and obviously you have a very unique area that you're focused on, which is pretty cool. And I want you to share with the listeners a little bit, the viewers and the listeners, what you have been honored for in this case. So share with what you're studying and exactly how that all started for you, because I think it came from Cornell and has matriculated up.
Yeah, so let's see. So I was honored in the science category for the Forbes 30 Under 30, specifically for some work that'll form the core of my PhD thesis on AI applications, particularly to healthcare. And so let's see. So when I started my PhD, my very first year, I think it had been only a few months in, I had a chance to attend a sort of top tier AI conference. And, you know, over the past couple of years, AI has really seized the headlines, but like then it was still just, you know, kind of really getting started. And so I kind of went there and I was like, oh man, I like, you know, this area is so exciting. I really want to do stuff here. And so for the first couple of my years, I just worked on understanding some of the core techniques. So for the past couple of years, there have been these techniques called deep neural networks that have become very popular and very successful in all kinds of areas. And so at the start, I was just trying to understand them better, develop techniques to sort of train them better and all these kinds of things. And then over the past 2 years, I've been looking at healthcare applications.
That's awesome. Maithra, we have a lot of viewers that are either even still in school or maybe even in the same programs that you are. Maybe you could share with us things to think about for how you could do well at your PhD and how to go about your research. I think that's something that, you know, a lot of people get overwhelmed by. And in the process that you're in, share with us a little of that process. I think that would be great.
Yeah, so I think definitely in the early stages, I think doing like, you know, some amount of exploration of like different areas, trying to get the bigger picture of like what areas interest you and what that might lead to is kind of a useful way to get started. So that's kind of like one strand you should be looking at. And then another strand is actually just getting experience doing research, I think, because that'll also influence you. So if you can, so there are sort of these two things, but like, you know, if you can kind of keep those two things going, that's kind of great, because then like eventually kind of your bigger picture ideas on how things are going to fit together will actually be able to feed into like your actual hands-on experience of kind of conducting research.
I didn't get to ask it. Oh, sorry. Keep going.
Oh, no. Okay. Yeah, that would probably be my main advice. I think like one thing that was really helpful for me was the fact that I actually kind of was able to do some of this exploration. You know, I went out to this conference that I wouldn't naturally have gone to, and a couple of other events like that where I was also able to see interesting applications. Like I got excited because of sort of on healthcare applications, again, because I was able to attend another event where I sort of saw how people were using these. And that was extremely influential for me, I think.
Oh, that's great. And by the way, we didn't really even get to say, when you found out, how excited were you when you learned that you were part of the 30 Under 30?
So I think actually shocked is a better description. So I really didn't think I didn't think I'd get it. So, and you know, we got an email being like, congratulations, you're on the 30 Under 30. It's alive now. I was like, wait, what? So I told my family and friends, and yeah, no, it was pretty cool.
Well, it's a great honor. And there's already questions coming in here, so I'll just read this. This comes from Kane Tyan, class of 2021. Are diagnostics that rely on machine or deep learning as a means for diagnosis currently being used? If not, why?
Yeah, they are currently being used, I think. Mostly these are, I think, like sort of smaller companies. So there are like many startups, I think, that are all interested in using these kinds of techniques in the diagnostic space. Two that I know of off the top of my head, there's one called Carrion, I think that's based in the UK. There's another one called Bay Labs, I think that's based in the San Francisco Bay Area. One of them's looking at, I think, breast cancer. The other one's looking at predicting heart disease. Recently, there's some like work on early prediction of Alzheimer's, and I think there's been a lot of interest in trying to push that to sort of clinical use cases. So yeah, I think we're actually seeing a lot of these slowly come out. One thing I should say though is that yeah, so there are these kind of deep learning power techniques. They're all meant to be used sort of by the human experts actually. So that's like, yeah, so that's kind of this common illusion that people have that, oh wait, now that you can do this automatically, you don't need people, and that's not quite true. All of these are just kind of, you can think of these as additional tools that like a doctor or somebody would be able to use to help with a more accurate diagnosis, and just sort of, you know, like relieves them of some of the kind of effort of looking through this kind of huge scan.
Gotcha. Has this been something that's been a passion of yours all the way back from when you were younger to focus in this particular area?
So truthfully, I'd have to say the healthcare applications probably not.
Oh.
Actually, when I was very young, sort of somehow coincidentally, all of my best friends growing up all decided to be doctors, and I was the one who definitely did not want to be a doctor. So the healthcare applications was something I kind of came into later on. I was definitely much more excited, just generally by kind of mathematics and sort of like analytical things and computational thinking. So all of those were sort of my main passions, and I think that kind of that sort of led me into AI and machine learning, and then now I'm kind of really interested in the healthcare applications. So did not see that coming.
So where do you see the work that you're doing, how it can be deployed, and where would you like to be involved in that going forward? Using this Forbes 30 under 30 as almost a launch pad, an incredible accomplishment. Where do you want to take it from here?
Oh boy. Okay. So so like I guess recently, so we've been developing lots of like kind of algorithms to work with and sort of these kind of AI models to work with some of these different data sets. I think so far I've been working on one type of scans and stuff. I think like trying to find I guess like a data set where like, you know, this people have not made inroads in this yet, or like a new application in healthcare where people haven't made inroads in this yet, sort of developing something from scratch, like particularly tuned to that task, and then sort of and then actually kind of getting involved with the deploying part. I haven't done as much on the deploying side or doing stuff with like the clinic or anything like that, and those are two things I'd love to do more in the future, and just sort of be able to do it all end to end.
That's great. Questions are flying in here,
Okay.
Maithra. So another from Shemai, class of 2018. How can entrepreneurs use their background in applied sciences to develop a business?
Background in applied science. Well, so I think it's great for an entrepreneur to have like a technical background. I mean, I think the one thing you want to complement that with, if I'm understanding the question correctly, I think
it's their question, but I will relay and let's make sure we get clarity on it. So.
I guess make sure you do your market research. Make sure that like, you know, whatever technical problem you decide to focus on that excites you also has sort of marketable potential. Those don't always go hand in hand. You can have something very cool technically that maybe isn't going to make much sense as like a business, as something to focus your business on. But you know, I think the tech space is super exciting right now. So I think having a technical background is a great plus, and hopefully that gives you more insight into what technologies are actually feasible right now. You can just combine that with kind of what the knowledge on what the market wants.
So Maithra, you mentioned that you're actually out on the West Coast. Where are you out on the West Coast? What?
So I'm in Mountain View right now.
Gotcha.
I've actually had I had the great fortune to collaborate with Google closely for some part of my PhD, and right now I'm wrapping up some stuff on the collaboration side with them, and I will be back to graduate this fall. This fall.
So you're really excited about coming back to the weather back here in Ithaca.
You know, I liked the winter. I think one of the years, I think 2014 or something, was sort of it was a really cold year. I think February that year broke all kinds of records, and
we're joking about this because we're doing this live, and it's actually, I think, on recorded record in the country. It's the coldest. It's the coldest day it's ever been on record across the country. It's like minus 54 degrees in certain places. So yeah, but we're just a little jealous of those that might be having a little warmer weather because it's cold. So Maithra, I want to ask this question. Your experience in Cornell how I want to say, how has that helped you, or maybe even your relationship with Cornell alum? Has that also helped you in your path and moving forward, and even just getting to Cornell, and also the work that you're doing now?
Yeah, no, I mean, I've had an amazing time at Cornell. I think a lot of it is thanks to, so I was in the CS department there, and I think they're absolutely fantastic. Like, I think the faculty there are, super nice, super smart, very friendly. Huge thanks to my PhD advisor, John Kleinberg, who's just an amazing person and has been like a great mentor, offered me sort of all kinds of advice from kind of research to, thinking about the bigger picture. And so, yeah, no, I think that's been very, very formative in being able to, being honored, and yeah.
Well, was there ever a point in the path that you took from going from computer science and then deciding to pursue the PhD? Was that always what you wanted to do, or was there a period of time where you weren't sure exactly that was the path that you would choose? Maybe going to, yeah.
Yeah, I wasn't really sure. Like, I definitely did not go through, I guess, sort of like college, like thinking, oh, I'm definitely going to do grad school or something. But I think the learning opportunities, like, definitely excited me, and that's what persuaded me to apply and kind of, and kind of go visit places and see. And that was definitely the right call. So yeah. One other thing I've generally found helpful, I guess, is like, if there's a chance presented to you where you could kind of learn about something really cool, then I think you should sort of go for it, and you can kind of work out like kind of other things as you sort of go through this process. So I was super glad I did that.
Well, what are you looking forward to next? Obviously, the stuff you're working on is occupying most of your time, but what's the thing that you're saying, okay, I'm going to take this and I'm thinking about doing something else, or trying to channel the next direction, because you're using this as like a springboard into what you would love to do going forward. So what are you thinking?
Yeah. Oh boy. Okay. Right. I guess mostly I've been thinking one step at a time because I've been so busy.
I'm trying to get you to think a little beyond the one step, just for a quick sec.
Yeah, exactly. So I guess, I mean, one goal that's out there, it's still close to work, but one thing I'd really like to see is being able to advance medical science with our new sort of techniques that we have. A lot of it, medical science, like especially with these kind of new sensors and stuff we have, has been looking at sort of trying to like interpret them better. And I'm trying to see whether these new technologies can completely revolutionize that. Sometimes like we post-process signals from sensors so that humans can actually interpret them, and maybe we don't need that anymore. Maybe we can just kind of like sort of have this end-to-end thing. So that's kind of like one thing I'm super excited about, trying to see what the implications of this for medical science. I think other healthcare applications that I'm excited about are, so right now I think we also have lots of limitations on the data we have on people. So the data, so healthcare data particularly is usually restricted to when you actually go see a doctor or to a hospital. But can we come up with some sort of system that where like you can maybe even have some amounts of data when people are outside the hospital, and help them in some meaningful way, like be like, hey, like you should be wary about this, like like this could be maybe you should go see a doctor now or something, and sort of have this these preventative measures that can keep people healthy for much longer, and lead them to have healthier lives. So that's something I'm really excited about.
So what do you miss most about Ithaca, because you're not there right now, or what will you miss most down the road?
The fall. I love
the fall. Okay.
Yeah, I love the the seasons are nice. I guess maybe this isn't the best day to say this, but I think I love the fall there. The gorgeous, it's gorgeous. So I think the place itself is just really beautiful.
I think first of all, it's great. First of all, I think everyone should get a little bit of West Coast, a little bit of East Coast. Do you have a plan on where you'd like to be after your PhD is complete?
Not yet. I mean, I'm still working out next steps. So probably finish my PhD, and then wherever the next steps take me is what I'm going to do. I'm actually not that kind of attached to one particular location over another. So pretty open.
All right, so I'm going to ask the question that as we start to wrap up, we've got only 5 minutes or so here. So I want to ask you this, and that is biggest challenge that you faced. We're all here. We're talking about congratulations, you're honored in this list and you've been doing incredible things, but talk about the challenges you've had to overcome along the way, because I think that actually shows the perseverance and the stick-to-itiveness that is required in the work that you do. So a big challenge that you've had to face.
Yeah, so I guess one challenge that springs to mind, also kind of related to what we've been talking about, is so in my undergrad, I did not study computer science. I studied math, which might sound very close, but it's actually very different. And I also studied in England, where the course structure is very different. So it's not like you take classes from computer science and some classes from other places and sort of mix them all up, but it's sort of a very kind of specified like a college curriculum, and so you kind of just do that. And so honestly, there was a huge difference coming out into this different field. Like now most of my time I'm running kind of experiments of different kinds, like sometimes pretty large scale, and I had no idea how to do any of those before, so it was a bit of a shock, and I kind of jumped into the deep end. And so my advice would be, like, you know, if you want to make a change like that, you shouldn't don't be afraid to make a change like that. And you know, it's a lot of work though, so you can do that, and you should just, like, you know, also, like, don't give up, be persistent, work on like what your weaknesses are, and kind of spend time aside like kind of building those up. So yeah, so for running some of these large scale experiments, I had no experience, and then we'd also started this collaboration with Google, and it was, you know, like huge. And so yeah, so I spent a lot of time outside just kind of methodically learning the kinds of things that I didn't know, and didn't give up, and didn't get, you know, tried not to get too discouraged. And I think on the whole, like after, you know, some time of doing that, that's worked out really well. So yeah, so probably that. So if you want to make this kind of huge field switch, don't be afraid of doing it. It's going to be work, but you know, you can do it and kind of be methodical about it. So yeah.
I was gonna ask this question because I know I've been there a couple of times, and I'm sure you've appreciated. You mentioned this work that you did with Google. Did you get an opportunity, obviously, to work at their offices?
I did.
Out by you.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a pretty fun place, is it not? I mean, there's a lot of fun things going on in the building itself.
It is. It's super exciting. Pretty intense, I'd say, but yeah, definitely super exciting to be a part of it. But yeah, for me, yeah, there was kind of added challenges in that, of course, there was like a lot of differences from what I'd done before to what I was trying to do now. But yeah, you can do it. So if there's something really exciting that yeah, you'd like to go after, yeah, definitely go after it.
As we're wrapping up here, last bits of advice that you can give future Cornellians, other alumni who are in the field of science and want to pursue their passions. You've tapped into this, but really they'd love to hear it from you as to words of advice to give them.
Yeah, so maybe one piece of advice we haven't touched on is definitely feel free to reach out to people. So, you know, if there's some field you're excited about or somewhere you want to be, you should feel free to reach out to experts in that field and talk to them, even if it's not an area you've had that much experience in before. That's like, you know, one very useful way of learning about, you know, their path there, things that they think is important. And those kinds of things might not be something you could get from anywhere else. They'll probably have advice for you. So yeah, definitely feel free to reach out to people as you sort of pursue this path. Yeah. No.
This has been great. First of all, we want to thank you for waking up early. So, not that early, but this has been. I hope you really appreciate and celebrate the moment as something that's really important. Is these honors? They're pretty cool and they're great esteems, but more importantly, it's what you do thereafter from them. Yeah. And I think only great things are to come from you, Maithra. So thank you so much for coming on the program. And
yeah,
it was truly a pleasure having you on. Sound great?
Okay, thanks so much. Thank you.
Thanks. And we're going to do a baton pass here very shortly because we're going to have a little special interview. And we're back. And here we are. We've said goodbye to Maithra. And now in this little bit of a window, I get to interview my co-host today.
Hello. Now I'm in the hot seat.
You're in the hot seat.
I'm ready.
Are you really ready? I mean,
no, you can never be really be ready. Like you can, yeah.
So as I'm trying to find all my lovely notes here, because as you can imagine, this is like an online juggling act. I've a shout out from my friend Jill Schiffelbein, who does this often. So Yuri, first of all, congratulations a year ago, because I didn't get a chance to do that because you were part of the class of 18s.
2018, yeah.
2018's Forbes 30 under 30. Can you share a little bit about your story, what you've been doing so that everyone knows a little bit more about you that doesn't know you?
Yeah, so I was a chemical engineering major at Cornell, class of 2016, and I got really interested in product development, product design, entrepreneurship, and technology. So part of that was via the Kessler's Fellow Program, which is an entrepreneurship program based in the engineering school by Andy Kessler, which really challenges people who are interested in technology, who are interested in startups, to take a summer to actually do that. And they support you through that. And it was in that moment that I realized I loved technology. I liked the high risk, fast paced ideation, problem solving. And so that's what led me to Silicon Valley, working at Walker and Company Brands, doing it's health and beauty tech space, really focusing on developing products within the health and beauty and grooming space. What was really fun about that is, like, as a chemical engineer, I was able to, stick my foot into a tech company and start to interact with software engineers, as well as, physical product development engineers that I was, and really start to understand that my passion was at the intersection of digital and physical goods. And so that's what I've been working on these past 3 years, developing products, launching brands, both in the hardware and the soft goods space. So that's what's been really exciting. And then, since being on Forbes, I've been able to hone in on my passion a little bit more, working with different brands and companies alike, to start to develop more tailored products for different groups of people.
So can we share some of the specific products that you worked on? You said hard and soft, so I want to hear both sides of those. Yeah.
So in the hardware space, we're talking mechanical trimmers, things of that nature. So men's grooming.
A little over here. Yeah.
Yeah. I've been working on some really cool projects that I'll be able to talk about soon in the vehicle space. That's interesting as well. And then in soft goods, so completely different industry, but women's hair care. So I've been all over the place, but when you consider consumer IoT and the future of connected devices, or, hyper personalization within the e-commerce demographic, they all kind of connect. So
no, totally.
When you consider IoT and the future of connected devices, or, hyper.
I think we had a little technical issue there. I'd play my technical music if we could. More notably, someone's not muted, I think is what it is, just as a heads up. Okay, so with that, Yuri, I wanted to ask what it meant when you became a Forbes 30 under 30 to you. Like, give us the lay of the land. Where were you? What was the moment like? Just that feeling of what it is. I've been asking some of the guests that I've been talking to about that and what it meant to you.
Yeah, so it was actually at a time when my company was, marching towards, an acquisition, and I was leading a lot of, really big projects, and I was, semi like just, as a Cornellian, you achieve, but sometimes I think we all struggle with realizing our achievements. So I was at this place where I was doing something and I was like, okay, now I'm ready to do something next. It has to be bigger. It has to be better. And so I woke up to a bunch of text messages from my sister. It was like 5:30 a.m. because I think it launches on the East Coast first, and I was in San Francisco Bay Area. And she was like, oh my God, check the internet. So she sends me the links, and I get the Forbes links, and I'm in awe. I actually was just in tears, because I feel like that it's one of those moments where you think you're doing something and you hope that you're having an impact on others. But then when a group or entity completely disconnected from your industry also recognizes it, it's humbling for sure.
Yeah, that's great. Let's talk about this, because we've been joking about moving around. You were in the Northern California. Now you're down in Southern California. What is bringing you up and down the state, and the smart move of not being here? Because it's really, really cold. I don't know if you know this. It's freezing. We're like killing ourselves over here. So what's in LA that you're focused on now?
So yeah, what's in LA? So my company, Walker & Company, was acquired by Procter & Gamble. And once there's an acquisition, it's always fun to kind of jump into something new. So I'll be delving and getting into a completely different industry, solving really cool problems still in the connected devices state. I can't really share exactly just yet, but stay tuned. I'm sure maybe on Instagram or LinkedIn, I'll update it, and I'll be able to kind of get a little bit deeper. But I think, again, I'll still be in the same industry of focusing on how we can continue to solve problems for consumers and industries through physical devices and software.
So I'm going to give one last question to you, and then we're going to talk about what the program that we've been doing together. And that is, what have you missed most about Cornell?
It's so funny because I really miss Cornell. And I think Cornell is its own little world. Like it's like in its sense, it's like when you go to school there, you know exactly where to eat. Everything's centered around that. So that sense of community, that very intelligent city is something that I really miss. And then also a lot of the food, like the CTV bagels I miss, honestly, the study spots, like finding study places or places to work outside of your house in the real world is ridiculously difficult. But then at Cornell, it's like everywhere you go, you can find a quiet space to make your own. So I think I missed that as well.
So we've gone through a couple of interviews just to start the morning off. Unbelievable people who, by the way, have won these awards, like yourself, for this year's class. Just in these interviews that you've been doing, you've been learning a lot. You've been amazed from the other side of it, kind of, not in the hot seat. What has it been like to just learn the information about some of these great folks that we're connecting with today?
So it's been really interesting to kind of see that we have a lot in common, right? We have Cornell as a center. But what's really interesting about the Cornell network and the Forbes network is that you get to interact with people that you otherwise may not ever connect with. So I've really enjoyed kind of getting into the mindset of how people are, some of our people are enjoying their research or developing their research or engaging with others to do so. I loved hearing about what the Forbes list meant to them or what it didn't mean to them in regards to challenging them to really stay focused on, what they're really working on. So I think that Cornellians have really strong opinions. And so the honesty of their experience has been really cool to engage in.
I got to figure this is great for you because you made a great point. You have the community of Cornell that and now you have this other community of your Forbes 30 under 30, which every year there's always all these new people that are being added and so many from Cornell. So what a wonderful way to bridge that together and to utilize that, maybe not necessarily where they perfectly gel, but that commonality is a phenomenal networking tool, but also a great business tool for you down the road, which has got to be pretty cool.
Yeah, and I think it's a great tool for everyone. So like anyone, all the Cornellians in the Forbes list are going to be resources for the broader Cornell network who can connect other people. And so for any of the viewers who ever have questions or ideas or want to get into an industry, even if the person isn't on the Cornell list, reaching out to people at Cornell who can connect you to those people is something that it's the power of networks. There's actually a class on Cornell about it, but it works that way too. So.
So we're going to give a little update here of our scheduling here. We're going to do some admin stuff here. First of all, as I'm reading my notes here, we unfortunately are not going to have Kevin Shen today, who couldn't make it, who literally is stuck in the tarmac. Kevin, we feel for you. We missed out, but congratulations, obviously, on winning that. We're not even halfway through. Both of us have a lot more people to speak to. Some amazing folks should continue to stay in on the programming, and also check out online the Cornell Entrepreneur Network, CEN, as well as Cornell Alumni. Please, if you're watching any of this, use social media to promote, link, tag, whatever it is you can find. Yuri, myself, and all of that. Our team is posting away here, but also these interviews, which are live right now, will also be recorded and you'll be able to access. So stay in the loop if you can't watch all of it live and you want to catch it later, but hopefully you get a chance to jump in on some of these interviews. We're wrapping up for a minute here. Yuri, last message that you want to give to all the viewers here and listeners of what this experience has meant to you, but more notably as a Cornellian, what it means to you.
So my name actually means, like we talked about this, I have survived a long and difficult journey. And I think every Cornellian has survived a long and difficult journey, whether it's the rigor of the school, the weather, what have you. And so it's really meant a lot to continue to make the Cornell name proud and to really share that Cornell is really creating really great individuals, innovators, and business people. So it's meant a lot to contribute to that legacy.
Yuri, congratulations again to you from last year, but to this year. And thank you for co-hosting. Good luck with the rest of your interviews. We'll wrap up at the end of the day. I'll catch you later.
All right. So as Lou starts to jump off, I'll still be on sharing with you all. we have a lot going on, and this broadcast is brought to you by the Young Alumni programs. And as a young alumnus coming into a new city, it's something that I definitely tapped into when I first moved to San Francisco. So I really encourage all of you to check out what's going on in your city if you're a young alumnus, or if you're, marching towards that, and really get engaged. Cornell is a phenomenal network that I've loved being a part of. And it's really exciting to continue to grow that network within the Forbes and Cornell network. And we're off.